Back in the early days when I was learning how to play the guitar, there are several musicians who contributed to my well-being. They taught me how to play even though they didn't know it. And one of those people is Stanley Clarke, a bassist extraordinaire. He was in Return to Forever, where I heard the likes of Chick Corea and Al Di Meola and learned to really appreciate the openness of the guitar neck and how you can combine with other instruments and create one new instrument out of the whole. And I learned from Stanley to enjoy the lower register, as many of us have. And one of the things that he contributed to me is the tapping technique. Listening to him tap and slap and pull and some of those bass tricks that he did made me think about my guitar differently. And frankly, him standing out there in front and being the lead bass player made me think about my role in the band differently, and decided that I would like to be out in front as well. And one of the things that I found during our conversation was that he believes in the balance, that the creativity of people balances somehow the negativity of people. Things you find out when playing with Stanley, he doesn't think about it very much. He just plays. And I think a good player is someone who can play knowledgeably without thinking. There's something magic that happens to a house that's filled with music. Something magic that happens to a studio that has great music played in it over and over and over again. Something about standing on that stage where Elvis stood, or standing on that stage where Frank Sinatra stood and sang New York, New York. It can change your life as an entertainer to get to play on some of those stages where greats have played before you. And visiting Stanley Clarke at his studio to talk about the new label, Roxborough Entertainment, and finding a place just like that, a place full of the magic of music, where good music is written and good music is played and good music is listened to, where musicians of different styles and genres and walks of life come together in a room and make magic happen, make music happen, make memories happen. And Stanley said he just enjoys helping people realize their dreams, and dreams are being made here, CDs are being made here. And 2 of them are out now, and you got to get hold of them. Anyway, here's part 1 of a day we spent hanging around with Stanley Clarke in the sunroom at the studio, sitting on the couch with Aretha, singing songs and talking about music and the future of Roxborough Entertainment and their artists. Looks good from here. I'll be back in a bit. Hey, Dan Greger of Barefoot Music News. I've got another treat for you today. We're sitting here with Stanley Clarke and Aretha, who's going to sing with us. We're going to play a little music. We're going to talk about music. And we get to talk to the man and see the studio, and we really appreciate you coming to be with us today.
All right.
And the reason for this is the label.
Label's Roxborough Entertainment.
And it's in business as of now.
In business, we have 2 records that we just released on Kennard Ramsey, and another guitar player's name is Lloyd Gregory. And we're releasing another 2 records in another couple of weeks. But we have a big launch party. It's the 28th of this month, and if you're near the Federal in North Hollywood, come on down.
Be there. I heard your album School Days after living through Return to Forever. And for a guitar player,
That's a good album for a guitar player, yeah.
was just astounding, but I got lost in the bass on it.
Yeah.
And although the guitar playing was amazing, it was the bass that struck me. And some of the things that I picked up from those days, tapping, different things that developed into who I am now.
Sure.
One of the things that I'd really like to touch on, because I think maybe you feel the same way, is how important it is to learn music theory and reading and writing early. It's one of the things that I didn't do. I can play pretty damn good, but I can't read.
Yeah.
You know,
I have a theory about that. I think I'm like, I kind of go both ways on it. It really depends on the individual and depends. Like, for instance, I'll give you an example. There's some of the greatest musicians I know in the world couldn't read to save their life. If they said, read that note or you're going to end up in the box, they're going to be in the box. But then again, there's musicians that that need to do that, or were forced to do it, or had to do it, or whatever. And in my case, just my upbringing, I was, my mother sang opera, so I had to. She sent me to a music school to keep me off the streets. So I was like, I was still on the streets, but but I was forced to go to a school. But I'm happy that I did, and I learned how to read and etc. cetera, et cetera.
And it really makes a difference when, especially now that you're involved in the studio and things like that, you have other musicians come in and you want them to play your part.
You know what's funny, man, because I really, a good music professor told me this, I like this guy because he was open for anything. He used to turn me on to Thelonious Monk records, and this guy told me that music notation is like learning a language, like French or Spanish or whatever, and the only purpose of it is so you can communicate to another person. Like if me and you were going to write a song, now if we're on the same wavelength, we can kind of get our way through it, and that'll happen. But if I walked in a studio and you had like 15 minutes and you said, Stanley, I need to get this, and here's the piece of paper, this is what it is, and I come in and I play it, and it's done, and it's, that's really all it is, And, like, nowadays I find that some of the better music I play is music that, where people are not even reading music. And then, like playing with Return to Forever, we had all the dynamics going at the same time.
Well, that what made it so intense, I think, is that the listener was, if you wanted to hear just one, you had to force it. You blended so well some of those songs that you had to stop and really pick it. When I wanted to hear your part, I really had to adjust tone and things to get there, because it sounded like practically one instrument. Sometimes to me, to my musical ear, because it was all playing this interwoven montage of music. How else to put it?
I mean, Return to Forever was an interesting band because it was orchestrated well, but at the same time we left space. Like our music was, we'd write something, and then we'd have these big open sections for you to do whatever, and then we'd come back. It really took advantage of all the ways of playing very traditional, untraditional, avant-garde, this, that, and that was one of the unique things about that band.
Well, I think it's the difference between a jammer and a player. A jammer just goes out there and wings the song every once in a while, but a player really, they have a section for improvisation, but then there's that part you can come back to. And I think that's important for the listener, that sort of come around to beginnedness of the theme is helpful for the listener, because they're not all musicians. Although your fan base is a lot of musicians. I assume there's a ton of people who could care less what note you're playing, they just love the way it sounds.
And the feeling like whether you have some music that feels a certain way. I mean, we were very fortunate with Return to Forever that we were able, we had so much fun. Just think of it, you could go out and play the way you like to play. And people came and they liked it.
They came and they came and they
liked it.
And they bought records.
Yeah, we were very surprised and very grateful, very happy. And even now, when we have our reunions, people come out, they still come out, they bring their kids. In some cases.
Now, folks are asking me, they found out we were doing this, they were asking me, is there a new Return to Forever music coming up?
There's Return to Forever 4 this year. Matter of fact, I'm leaving in a couple of days for New York to start rehearsing. And we're going to Australia for a couple of weeks in February. And we come back, rehearse some more, take some time off, and then we're going to be out the whole summer. We'll be here at the Universal Amphitheater.
Universal, Well, we have to be there.
Let us know. We'll make sure we get you guys some tickets.
That would be great.
And they're fun shows because our fans are everybody from rappers to the last time we played at Gibson Theater backstage, we had a rapper, we had like Tom Cruise, we had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and somebody from some Disney Channel person. I didn't even know who that was. I didn't even know there was a Disney Channel. And Larry Fishburne. And he was telling us that when we played Central Park, he had a picture, and he was like on the first row there. Larry's like an old time Return to Forever fan. So it's a band, it's a cool band, and I'm just very happy very happy that I was there.
That's so exciting. There's going to be another go-around. And that's like a whole other life somehow, isn't it? How many careers have you had now? You've been blessed and to venture through so many of these great cycles. And now this new one, which is really exciting, right? And you've had the music group for a while, but this is a label now. You're going to start making records.
Yeah, the label, Roxborough Entertainment. You know, we have our launch party event on 28th this month. And yeah, it's great, man. It's, you know, it's nice to be able to help someone else record and fulfill, you know, whatever they're trying to do in life, and it's, you know, it's a cool thing. What I really like about doing the label right now is that it sort of runs contrary to the economy, what the economy tells you, but because of technology, and you know, you just got to have some good business skills, you know, it still can be done. I'm just a firm believer that just because the economy says this, that doesn't mean that I have to do that. Like, give up, you know, it's all going down the hill.
You seem to have made your opportunities happen. You don't go living for them, you make them happen.
Yeah, and I just believe that music and art really runs, it does, you know, it just doesn't follow that, you know, because you can always create something. You know, making money is a different thing. The commerce part, you know, is a different thing. But the idea of actually creating something is it has nothing to do with anything to do necessarily with business or anything. It's just, do you want to make something beautiful? You know, I'm kind of an old-fashioned guy in that I believe there's good guys and there's bad guys, and all the good guys create, and they create, you know, beautiful things and for people. And if you're lucky, you can sell a few of those things. But the idea is to keep creating. And then you have the other guys that you know, I think on the planet now there's somewhere between 25 and 30 conflicts going on, like serious, you know, people butting heads. Yeah, and those guys are the bad guys. They're doing it for money, whatever. There's always money involved in all those conflicts, and you know, so that's fine. And so what we do, yourself, me, anybody that writes a book or paints or whatever, anybody that's creative, we're a part of this big mosaic. And I truly believe that it keeps the world. If you could say the world's a powder keg, what we all do is just cool it down as much as possible. Yeah, you know, and so that's kind of how that's how I look at things in the world. So you know, even when I see a kid, and it's like 15 or 16 coming out of high school and they wonder where their place is. It might be a saxophone player, like, where's my place, you know? And, you know, he's right in there too. You know, the only thing that separates us is some guys make millions, some guys make nothing, some guys do this, but you know,
there are amazing musicians playing in dive bars every night.
Yeah.
And
I'm going to tell you something. A lot of the musicians now are becoming a lot more conscious. Even real so-called famous ones are you know, it's because, you know, the planet is you know, it's in a rough shape.
Yeah.
You know, so people, you know, they're more conscious. Like, yeah, we need to keep this thing cool. And so creativity is a very important thing on this planet.
It balances the rest of the world out somehow. I think you're right.
Exactly.
I think it's beautiful. And if there was more music and less worry about money, I think we'd all be in better shape.
Yeah, music, writing, you know, painting, whatever. Guy to do whatever. You know.
Creating something out of who you are is what it is. And that way everything is unique. Whatever you do is unique.
Whatever it is.
And whether you paint by number or you write songs or crochet scarves or make shoes, which I don't know about that. I only just use
my sense of humor there. You go with that.
But
you're a shoemaker there.
Shoemaker anyway.
Someday Paul will be yours.
But you know, whatever it is, and I try to, I teach a lot, and I try to get through to my students some of that it's not just music theory, although that's really important. I think you really need to learn some of that and understand that, but it's more about what comes out of you, more about your spirituality, if you will, or your mental.
The music theory thing, I mean, I give it to people. You know, I have students, and I Usually if I have a student that's open and has sort of a sponge-like personality, it usually goes in, you know, I try to make sure I tell them the purpose, why. And once they understand that, yeah. There are some guys that are like, I call them, they're like bolts of lightning that just come from wherever they come.
And they soak it all up.
And they just soak it up, and then some come and, you know, they have a gift. And it might not be a good idea for them to learn theory.
Yeah. Yeah, I tend to agree with that.
Like that.
I tend to agree
not
with
many,
that, yeah.
but a few.
But I think for kids, I think it's a good idea, you know, and there's so much of that now is missing in our school system because we can't afford it anymore.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
And that brings in, you know, great organizations and other things that we can get involved with, and I encourage everyone to do that. But I think at a very early age, if we let them taste it a little bit, I think part of my problem, I started guitar when I was 5. It was flamingo guitar lessons and flashcards. And, oh, I hated it. I never got to play the guitar. I had to go B flat and A, but, you know. And even at home, I had to go through the flashcards. I had to do the homework and everything. And thank God I did, because I learned what I did. But I think that sort of turned me off from learning the music theory of it. I went about it because I couldn't afford lessons. Matter of fact, my mom had a 1929 dictionary of musical terms.
Wow.
And that's where I learned my music theory from, on my own, without any help, because that's how to do it. And I had that passion, and I think you probably did too very young. I think the term legend was first applied to you rather young. How does that?
You know, I never really was comfortable with that term, you know, but now it doesn't matter. Yeah. I mean, my purpose in life is a different purpose. I mean, it doesn't really have much to do with what title I have.
It doesn't make you play better, does it?
Yeah, that's a different thing. My thing is like, it's just straight ahead, the art, just put it out there every day. You know, I have to get up and churn it out every day, whatever it is. It's creative. And
well, there you go. Isn't that great? Well, stay tuned. We got more with Stanley Clarke. In part 2, we're going to play a little music. Wait till you hear this. I had a great time. And we'll talk some more. Barefoot Music News. We'll be back.